Our relationship with the Indigenous community is changing. Today we're going to find out more about how that relationship is changing.
Shannon Pain and Indigenous Status, Medinagaming Donjaba, Megamina Dotam Mahingan. So my name is Shannon Pain, and I'm a member of St. Teresa Point First Nation. Although my ancestry is Mi'kmaq and various Celtic backgrounds, and my clan is the Wolf, and I'm very honored to be here today.
Shannon, I really enjoyed your presentation. You mentioned the 94 recommendations. If you had to choose 3 of the 94 as absolute priority, we've got to do this right now, what would those 3 be?
It's so hard to make that choice. I think the first one that I would recommend is the implementation of the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. So Canada did recognize it, but I think it's really important to take it to the next level and look at how can that be implemented in a meaningful way. Because that sets the foundation then for a new nation-to-nation relationship with Indigenous people in Canada. So that would be the first one.
All right.
The second one I think is really critical is, my love is education. So I think it's really, really critical to look at education in a whole new way, a more holistic approach, an approach that really looks at the needs of the child and really embraces the concept and notion of language and culture and that reinforcement of identity, because we have a lot of people that are really still in that shame-filled era of not wanting to acknowledge who they are and not willing to celebrate indigeneity. And when we start to get a nation of children that are proud of who they are and where they come from, and that is translated into a really warm acceptance by Canadians, it starts to shift the relationship. And I think the third area, and again, there are so many important ones, but I think really investing in health is really critical, because that again is the foundation of well-being. And to me, again, health is holistic, and so you're looking at the medicine wheel. So you're looking at the spiritual needs, the social emotional needs, the physical needs, and the mental needs of a person. So that it's within that model of the medicine wheel that we can really create wholeness in our communities.
This is certainly an important and timely topic with the release of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's report a few months ago and its numerous calls to action. The release of the Truth and Reconciliation report marked a major milestone in our collective awareness of the need to acknowledge the painful treatment of our First Peoples through the course of Canada's history.
And I know that recently Métis and non-status have been included in the rights of Indigenous people.
That's right.
How many people are we talking about across Canada, and when you add these groups in?
I'm not sure of the exact numbers, but I think I've heard in the neighborhood of about 400,000 people. And so I think the ruling is hugely exciting, because I think it's really important to have an inclusive approach. And many of the people that haven't been recognized by Canada through having official status has been a very arbitrary policy that it was implemented many years ago through the introduction of the Indian Act and enfranchisement policies, and then a series of different policies that were designed to have people move away and become part of the mainstream populace. These people, many of the people that are now included under the government responsibility, are still connected to community and still connected to their identity. So this just allows them to have that sense of citizenship and belonging. What I think the struggle is going to be now is the fiduciary responsibility of the government and how they can accommodate that.
And as a non-Indigenous person, is what capacity do we have to attend in a way of learning and maybe taking action that way?
We do have a very loving, kind, welcoming, inclusive Indigenous community here in Kingston.
Here in the city of Kingston, what can those of us in the non-Indigenous community do to help move this ahead?
Well, I think there are so many things that can be done, and I think it's really important for people to take the first step and to take some time to reflect on what their notions are around their understandings of Indigenous issues, and then to start to educate. And maybe some of the notions that people hold are true, but maybe they aren't true. And so doing that research and that reading and that talking to people and dialoguing, just start to educate and start to understand those different perspectives. With that education comes not just the theoretical knowledge, but also that emotional commitment. And that's one of the comments was reconciliation as relationship. And so it's taking that step to connect with Indigenous people in Kingston. And so I highly invite people in this area to start making those connections. And I mentioned a couple of mechanisms. The Kingston network is a wonderful opportunity to hear what's going on and to start attending some of those events. We have cultural educators that are willing to put on different types of workshops and education and training opportunities to conduct different types of ceremony. And so I think just taking those little steps forward to make those connections will really start to shift.
To find out more, go to their website. For K-Town Source, I'm Donna Chambers.